Welcome please to the JVG podcast, where these G's are gonna spread their seeds of knowledge about the league. It's flourishing with these. These funny catchers seem to be well read, esteemed and honest. Like the man himself, Jeff Van Gundy. They are high IQ, so cerebral and funny. So if you're on the bus, just border on the dunny. Listen to the
JVG NBA Tribute Show.
Hello and welcome to the Jeff Van Gundy Tribute Show. My name's Marco. Joining me today is 60-point Splash Sam. How are you, mate?
Thanks, Marco. It's actually 64 points.
Fuck! I should have done my research before I hit record. How are you, mate? You had any big games recently?
No.
That was an anomaly. That was a.
Well, I think we just went up a division. And it got a lot harder.
Yeah, right. Are you still playing on Monday nights or whatever?
Playing on Mondays. The team is very different.
Yeah.
No Lucas.
Yeah.
No Ned.
No Ned.
It's like me and a bunch of scrubs. That's just not true.
Would any of those scrubs be listening today?
Maybe.
Alright, well shout out to the Monday night scrubs, whoever you are out there. Sam, I ran into you at a party. We were just talking about great house party.
Shout out Carl.
Shout out to our man Carl. Probably would have been like 2-3 weeks after the Boston Celtics won the championship, something like that. Which it's August now. It feels like a very long time ago, but it wasn't. It wasn't that long ago that the NBA finals were on. 2 months?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah. When did they finish?
Early June?
Yeah.
Early June. Anyway, and you took a little bit of umbrage with how this podcast network had covered banner number. What number banner
18.
was it? Banner number 18, thank you.
Yeah, and you also ripped me for some meme I sent in a group chat, and you were like, you just said Celtics boring to watch, boring memes or something.
Did I say that on air or to you?
No, you said it was in a group chat.
Right. Well, I remember that because it was like, whatever basketball group chat that is. Is it maybe from the Sydney trip or
Yeah.
or from what's the fantasy thing we do? The draft one.
Yes, it might have been yes.
Yeah, the over/under draft. Yeah. And it's like usually when there's like a big NBA event like the NBA finals going on, chats like that are pretty active, and maybe once one team manages to secure the ring, there's a little bit of wow they finally did it. Can you believe that game from Jayson Tatum? And it's just radio silence from everyone. And then just a gift.
It was radio silent the whole series.
Yeah. I know. Which is exactly why we were like, wow, what a weird final. I'm finding it very hard to be excited about watching this. Well, I mean, aside from obviously the joy of winning as a Boston Celtics fan, what did you like about that series?
I like the way we took care of business. Like we lose 3 games for the playoffs.
Yeah.
And
3 of the worst losses I've ever seen.
A couple of them, like the Miami loss, they took historic shooting nights from the opposition team. Mm-hmm. And then probably the Pacers series was one of the closest sweeps you've ever seen.
Definitely.
But for all the talk about how Boston choke in the clutch, we just made clutch plays, and everyone played the way that I think Brad envisioned them playing when he was coach.
Yeah.
Like no one was really trying to force the issue. I think we learn't a lot about players like Jaylen Brown, Derek White, and Jayson Tatum, who I will defend.
Yeah, of course.
But I just thought, obviously, we didn't have the best player in the last series. Clearly the favourite team, though. Mm-hmm. And everyone understood their role and played within themselves completely.
Yeah, 100%. And you didn't have the best player in that series, but you had the 2nd through 7th.
Yeah.
Best players. Certainly I mean, all that talk going into the finals, it's like, wow, like, is this... do the Mavericks have the best backcourt duo ever? Like, is Kyrie one of the greatest point guards, you know, of his generation? It's like, he's really good.
Yeah.
But, like, he didn't show up for like 3 or 5 games in that series. And was completely outplayed by basically everyone else on the Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's such a tough ask as a small guard to play against Drew Holiday, Derek White, Jaylen Brown as your primary defenders. Yeah. But if you're one of the best of the best, like, you know, you should be able to handle that. And, like, you know, I thought Luka, for, I guess, the result, like, Luka performed fine, considering that he was playing against, like, one of the best defensive setups in NBA history, and just a team that wouldn't let him get any momentum and would outscore him at the other end, like, whenever they, you know, found it necessary. Yeah.
Well, we just had the game plan from the start was, we're going to let all the role players shoot as many above the break threes as they want.
Yeah.
And Joe Mazzulla has always been like, he's a maths guy. I don't know how much maths he knows. That guy's weird. Also, like, the, like, deeply Catholic undertones of the Celtics.
Yeah.
Not a huge fan of.
Oh, yeah. 100% the fan base. I mean, and then, Jaylen Brown's a bit of a cooker as well.
Oh, my God. Yeah. They're all wild. I don't know if I'd want to be on that team. But he knew what the maths was, and they let them shoot them, and they all missed. If they had just shot a respectable percentage from above the break threes, like, there's a different series.
Yeah. If Derek Jones Jr. shot how he'd shot for, like, the 20 previous games, which we now know is an anomaly, which is good to know about him as well.
But it's one of those things. It's really hard when you know that you're going to get X amount of open shots and you missed the first 2 of them.
Yeah.
You're in your head at that point.
Yeah.
Like, you're hesitating on all those shots, which is, like, really hard to do as a role player. When you know you might only get 5. Like, even though we're letting them shoot them, he might have still only get 5 of them. So you missed 2. Like, now, like, realistically, the best you're going to shoot is 2 of 5, which is great. But, like, realistically, you're in your head, and it's just
you're not going to make the next 3 exactly.
No.
Right? Yeah. It was. I do feel like we did it numerous times in the wake of that finals. Just be like, just want to be clear. Big props to the Boston Celtics. They're an amazing basketball team. You know, it's also just, like, got Drew Holiday is one of my favorite players of all time.
Yeah.
I love Derek White. I have no, like... I have no hate for him at all. Like, he just plays... And we saw this with Team USA, which we'll talk a bit about later.
Yeah.
Like, even if he didn't have a huge impact and he got DMP'd in the gold medal match, like, he just played in that perfect connective way that you ask, you know, that you just plead with all of your role players to play with, like, whichever NBA team you are. But then also he's just, like, capable of so much more than a regular role player as well. And then Jaylen Brown, like, it was such a punctuation mark for him, you know, as being like, I should be considered amongst the best of the best. How do you think Jayson Tatum does fit into all this?
Look, Tatum, I love Tatum, and I think he's, you know, one of the best 7 or 8 or 9 NBA players in the world.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. He's not the reliable scorer that Doncic is. He's a bit more of a system star.
Yeah.
He's not. I'm not going to say he's as good as Duncan, but, like, he is a bit more in that mold of, like, actually needs to be put in positions to win. And Duncan's so good. I'm not trying to take. He's fucking one of the best 5 players of all time. But, like, it's that Spurs system, and we see Tatum at his best when we actually got the ball in his hand and he's making reads off of sets. Like, he's actually being put in dribble handoffs or getting the ball at the top of the key and the screen's coming up quickly. He's not dribbling the ball down the court like LeBron is and asking for a screen and then reading everything in real time.
Yeah.
He knows what the 3 reads are in the set and he gets to make them.
Mm-hmm.
And if he gets doubled, he's liable to take some bad shots sometimes. But I think for the most part, watching the finals, he was actually getting to the ring really well and he was just missing some bad shots. But his passing was awesome.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
And they're not the Luka Doncic, I'm making something out of nothing passes. They were just like, oh, Jaylen Brown's diving to the ring. Oh, I can throw this up to, I don't know, Kristaps, or there's Drew Holiday in the dunker's spot, which he's there every single time.
Mm-hmm.
And he did that really well. And if that's what it takes to win, that's what it takes to win.
Yeah. I do agree with you. Like, he was doing everything perfectly.
Yeah, he's just not scoring the ball properly.
But there is just this thing watching him where you're like, fuck, like, you should have so much more confidence in yourself as like, as like an all-NBA guy, as the first option on your team, as like the face of the NBA as well. Like, he is like, the NBA wants him to be one of the stars of the future.
Yeah.
As the guy who texts Kobe Bryant before.
Oh my God. He's cringe as fuck. I'm not going to deny what he said. We did it.
Yeah.
So bad.
Copying we went through that. Him copying everyone's different stuff.
Yeah.
What are they gonna say now?
But I don't understand the hate he gets during the season, and he's like the most understated NBA player. He's never getting in trouble. Never says anything wrong. He does everything that we ask of him. Like, it's like he's one of the most coachable players. If we ask him to guard someone, he's guarding them.
Yeah.
We ask him to play the 4 exclusively, basically now. And the amount of stars that have said, like, I don't want to play up position, or Anthony Davis, I don't want to play center.
Yeah.
He does it without complaining, and then he goes and be's one of the better rebounders for his size out there. We ask him to switch on everything, so he has to guard smaller players. He does an awesome job of it.
He's never shirked from like a defensive matchup either. Like, I think he's one of few players in the NBA who I'm like, I don't really remember you getting cooked. Like, I don't remember you cooking, but like,
Game 7 against Philly, Game 6 against Milwaukee.
Yeah. But in the 2022 finals run, like, just guarding Giannis, guarding KD, like, not making a big deal out of it, doing a really good job on them. Not being like, I'm gonna be tired down the other end, like, if I have to do this. But I think it is just NBA fans extremely delicate cringe reflex. And, like, any amount of cringe is just gonna set people against someone.
And he doesn't have the sound bites that, like, Anthony Edwards has.
Yeah. Oh no, you don't look at him and you're like, oh, that guy's cool. You're like, like, he's trying a bit too hard, and what's the meme, like, Vanessa Bryant when her phone goes off before the game tomorrow. But I think I think you're right. Like, there should be this concern that your best player, like, maybe can't rise in that way that, like, some of the all-time great stars can. But it doesn't matter, because you won a championship. So, like, if that's conventional wisdom about the NBA, that you need someone who can, like, go on these insane individual performances, which, like, he has as well. He just hasn't done it in the NBA finals. Then, like, we can kind of disregard that because you won an NBA championship. You had like the best 6 players ever. Like, you had the most incredible, best 6 players of pretty much any championship team ever, I think. but like, it doesn't matter, because also we know, like, your team's built so well. Al Horford's probably going to get old. It's going to be very difficult to find another guy like Al Horford. You're going to be able to find a very, very good player in a year or two. It's hunting for a ring on the minimum.
You don't think Xavier Tillman's that guy?
Absolutely not. He is dog water.
The X-Man?
No, he's not. He's not the alpha. Absolutely not.
No, I mean, Brad's just been so good. He's going to find someone.
Yeah.
But I do think, like, just thinking about the big moments he had in the playoffs, which were like Game 7 against Philly, where Philly went into that drop coverage with Embiid, and Tatum actually was like, oh, if you drop on a pick and roll on me, I can just shoot this three every single time. Yeah. And then the couple of times that Justin and Embiid came up to him, he was like, oh, you're 7'1" and can't move like me, so I'm going to blow by you. Mm-hmm. I think the coverages against Dallas were a little more, we're going to try and like force you into tough shots. And he made really good reads to get out of them. But it also helps that those reads are easy when the players are so good they know where to be.
Yeah, exactly.
And like Drew Holiday's like a huge reason for that. That guy is the smartest basketball player on our team, I think.
Oh, yeah. And like, it was like playing center on offense, like, you know, for long stretches of the finals.
Hit every timely 3-point shot, I think, when we needed in the finals. It was like Dallas would get close, and he shot like 60 million% from the corner this year.
That's a good point. The way the Dallas centers were like they're very tough to play against. You know, Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford, and Jason Kidd uses them in just like such a smart way for like to complement their athleticism. But I do want to talk about Jayson Tatum at the Olympics, and then we can talk about the Olympics because like he did have similar. I guess performance issues. Like I'm looking at his stats right now. They're not great, but Team USA. Let's start with this. Team USA stats. Like, you know, Steph Curry is the leading scorer with 14.8 points per game. You know, like you're not learning a lot from the raw numbers. But he shot 0% from 3, which isn't great. 38%.
Hit the side of the backboard on one as well. Yeah, bad.
38% from the field. I think I saw somewhere that he didn't actually make a jump shot. Don't quote me on that, because I think that was a Twitter stat that like it was all layups and free throws. He just had. I don't want to compare it to how he played in the finals, because he's being used in a completely different role, but he had that sort of reluctance to take tough shots, but even he even had a reluctance to take open threes. Like, he was passing out of open threes. Again, like he had like a sort of he had a wealth of options. Like, obviously you have the 10 other best basketball players in the world, you know. Like 11 of the 20 best basketball players in the world on this roster. So, if you do pass out of an open three, like, it's probably going to be okay. There's that great footage when, Steph hit one of his many daggers against France, where it was like KD and LeBron open. On the wing and at the top of the arc. And it's like, no, but that's the right shot, right? Like, let Steph Curry take whatever he wants. What do you ascribe Tatum sort of being out of rhythm for Team USA to?
I think, like, from watching it, and like it's not a long enough time frame to correlate like his finals performance with his Olympics performance. It could just be completely separate. So I think the natural thing is he's not getting the diet of shots he gets on the Olympics. Like, you have to be so confident in your catch and shoot ability, and there's no reason for him to be taking contested shots on that team. In fact, there's no reason for anyone to be doing it. Steph gets a pass, KD gets a pass, because they're the greatest tough shot makers over the past 20 years. So I think that plays a part of it, when you don't know which shots you're getting night to night. He also doesn't know how many minutes he's going to play, which people will buy into and talk about, is he as good as Booker because Steve Kerr didn't play him? And it's like, I don't know. Like, are we at the practices? Also, like, do we really think that Steve Kerr is like the greatest USA basketball coach of all time? Like, he's clearly lost games. He shouldn't have.
I don't think he had like I don't think he coached particularly well.
Is he just handed the 10 best basketball players and then they go out and win the game?
And 2 of them that he won multiple championships.
Yeah.
Well,
a guy he's coached against a bunch.
Yeah, 3 players who won a championship last, in the most recent season.
I am 95% sure I could go out and coach that team.
Yeah, I think so. I absolutely think so.
LeBron, what are we running? And I go, awesome.
And Embiid, I'm going to sub you off after 5 minutes.
Yes, but you saw the players that Steve Kerr trusted at the end, and it's always LeBron, KD, Steph, and then usually Anthony Davis. And even though Drew Holiday didn't play, but I thought he was playing a lot in the first. First few games.
No, 100%. He was really relying on Drew and Derek, you know, as his connectors, like those classic FIBA little guys who just hound everyone on defense and then just move the ball quickly on offense.
They feel like the perfect complementary players. I mean, they are that at Boston because we're such a talented team, but on a team that is full of stars.
Exactly.
They've got not guys that are going to expect shots.
No.
They're going to make them when they get them. And they're going to play their arse off on defense.
And very, 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 very quick decision makers as well. Because I think that's the biggest thing in in FIBA basketball is there's no time to be dribbling around and for an ISO or whatever. It's just keep the ball moving and something will break through. I think a big part of it, and I think Kerr said this at some point, is I really don't think there was a role for Jayson Tatum on this team.
No.
There were 2 players, realistically, he would have been playing the LeBron role. Different way, which is he's a forward, he's going to be looking, hunting for mismatches, etc. But also he's kind of going to be the primary play initiator. I think if you look at this roster, I don't think Tatum's the best passer, but he's probably the one who has on his team the most playmaking sort of responsibility, even more than Steph. Steph is not asked to run the offense in the traditional sense for the Warriors, and as we saw in the finals, it was Tatum who was making all the reads, making all the passes, etc. So bringing him on for 7 minutes and not getting him to do that thing that he's good at, and then he's already kind of had his confidence shot. It's of course he was going to play that. Of course he was going to play like this, And
even how Durant was saying that he loves basketball when there's no plays being called, which is great for you, I guess. When you're 7 feet and you can just shoot over everyone. I actually personally quite like watching basketball plays, but you at Team USA don't run huge amounts of sets. And like we said before, Tatum is best when he's actually being put into situations where he knows what reads are coming. It's really hard to ask someone on the fly to adjust. And LeBron's might be the greatest player of all time to ever do that. So why would you take the ball out of his hands?
Exactly. Why would you bother getting this group together for 2 weeks? Being let's learn all of these sets, blah, 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 when you can just give the ball to... I mean, that's kind of why they, LeBron and KD and Steph came back, is that they could just stamp so much authority on this team that you didn't really have to do anything to win the gold.
And whether or not you think Tatum's better than any of these players at this point in their career in an NBA setting, those guys are the faces of the NBA and have been for the last 15 years. So you're not going to play them.
Absolutely not. No, you're not gonna choose Tatum over LeBron.
And they're seamless fits together. You've got LeBron and KD and Steph, the 2 greatest floor spacers of all time. I just wouldn't feel comfortable giving the ball to Tatum in that scenario. And that's in an NBA setting. If I'm looking at the Boston Celtics and I'm looking at the Lakers and I'm looking at the Warriors, Tatum probably fits what Boston are trying to do better than LeBron's fitting whatever the Lakers have around them, or even what Steph has around him at Golden State at the moment. And that's a lot of that's just to do with talent. Around them. I'm sure if Steph's playing with Jaylen Brown and Kristaps Porzingis and Al, he looks a lot better than he did last season.
And
not
also,
saying it's bad.
When those teams want to upgrade for talent, they don't have the resources to go out and get the best fit. Boston went out and got the best fitting players and the most talented players.
Which was so much luck involved in that.
Yeah.
It's just when Milwaukee got rid of Drew Holiday, we were just thank you, take that.
It's Dame making himself available, and no one really swooping in when Portland were like, oh, we're going to move Drew straight away.
I think the only one we really did that was the two that were really great was the Derek White trade a few years ago.
So good.
And the Kristaps trade. And the Kristaps trade took a lot of guts because you're giving up Smart, which... Like hindsight's 2020, obviously that was the right move. But Smart at the time was the longest tenured Celtic. There was a lot of love there. He was the defensive general.
Yeah. He just won Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah. Crazy.
Did he deserve it? We don't know.
And Kristaps, huge injury concerns, had been playing better, but in Washington, etc., etc.
And look, at the end of the season, we actually probably didn't need Kristaps that much. He didn't play, but
it was good to have him. It's really good to have him there.
He might not be back until
also did he play a good game in the finals? I can't really remember.
Yeah, he played his first game back.
Yeah, and he just hit a jumper over every single Dallas Maverick.
They just switched, and he was just like, "Oh, you guys are too small."
Yeah. Whoever it is, I'm gonna hit this.
And there was the classic, "Oh, he can't make the injury worse." Chat about when he came back and then next game injures himself. Gets on the floor for game 5.
A few other Team USA tidbits. Tyrese Halliburton also didn't really play.
Great post when you get an A+ from the group assignment.
So good. Yeah. That's Tatum would never, just by the way.
No, he retweeted something that was I can't remember. It was basically saying how he needed to get revenge against Team USA. He's not coming back.
Yeah. Him and Jalen both on a Team USA revenge tour. It was incredible watching LeBron and Steph. I'm so glad Steph finally started playing well in the semi and the final, because he had been pretty low impact until then, and then it's we've waited so long to see LeBron and Steph not just play together, but work off each other.
Yeah, in games that matter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And thank God the US somehow made every game look like you knew they were going to win every game, but it looked like they were going to lose every game.
Yeah. The Serbia game.
Yeah.
And then Steph just saves them.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, but you also that was never not going to happen.
Yeah, it does feel inevitable when you're watching them.
But so thank you Team USA for bringing us some extra entertainment. And Anthony, I think Anthony Edwards, conversely maybe, really stamped himself as, probably a very key member of a future Team USA.
Yeah. Him and Booker. I think were Booker had that tweet that was saying they needed someone was they need a role play, and he was I'll do it, and he actually did it, which is very not how he plays at Phoenix. I feel he's often comes across as very entitled and wants his shots and whatever. Yeah. But this time he's no, I'm going to lock down, I'm going to shoot threes, and I'm going to play off these superstars. Which
bodes very well for Phoenix this season. Because if he's willing to do that with KD on this stage, maybe he's... And I guess last season he was I'm the point guard, but he still needed his shot diet.
Yeah.
But that is such a good character sign for a team where you're you feel they're kind of doomed not to work.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing was and I think you get this generally playing for Team USA. He looks so happy. He genuinely looked like he was enjoying himself for the first time since, I don't know, 2021.
Yeah.
He hasn't been a very smiley basketball player since that finals run. He never has. He's got so much of the Tatum cringe gene as well. They're cringe twins.
But he doesn't. At least he doesn't text Kobe.
No, we don't know that. Maybe he just didn't. Maybe he didn't post the screenshot.
He saw the out there. He's shit. Delete. Unsend.
Because he does have the same unhealthy Kobe obsession that Tatum has.
Half the league does that.
But yeah, so that was nice to see, especially when like I feel like for maybe a year and a half, every single thing about Phoenix has just made you feel worse about them. It's like, oh, the Aiden situation. Oh, they actually traded for Bradley Beal.
Yeah.
Oh, Yusuf Nurkic is shit. Oh, they can't add anyone in the offseason.
Yeah. Somehow Grayson Allen becomes like their most important role player.
Yeah, and then gets injured.
Yeah.
But then they actually added. I think Sean might have someone on another pod briefly talked about this, but like when you thought they like couldn't add anything, they're completely kept out. They actually they signed Tyus Jones to a minimum deal, on the one of the maybe 12 months prior, probably like one of the most coveted backup point guards, potentially the best backup point guard in the league.
He was
that last season in Memphis. Like whether he was actually backing up Ja Morant or subbing in for him when he was injured, it was like, oh, this guy's like does everything you want your backup point guard to do.
Yeah.
And then there was just absolutely no interest in him, and Phoenix ended up with him.
Yeah, and they need a point guard.
Yeah.
Clearly the Devin Booker situation hasn't worked out.
Yeah.
At point guard.
Or even if you do want to play Booker, Beal, a wing, KD, Nurkic.
Yeah.
Like, you need someone to come in for 24 minutes and be the point guard. And Tyus Jones is like the perfect fit for that.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, let's have a bit more of a look towards the next NBA season. Boston Celtics, 3 Olympic gold medalists, coming off as you said, only lost 3 games in the entire playoffs. Everyone's locked down for multiple years.
It's pretty awesome.
How do you feel?
Pretty confident. Obviously, I'm not taking Boston against the field.
Yeah.
There's a long season to play, but we clearly go in as favourites. Nobody really got that much better. Saw some people chatting about Dallas getting Klay Thompson, and I just don't think that's the answer.
No, not at all. They wouldn't have won that series if they had Klay Thompson.
No. He can still shoot, but they lost that series in part because they couldn't defend us.
Yeah.
And I think that was the thing at the end of the day. We're just they struggled to score, but also trying to defend 5 guys on the perimeter is just really, really hard, and Klay's not that guy anymore. I mentioned Milwaukee before. I think they're going. I think they'll be good again. I just I think Giannis is that good. Whether or not they're better than us is a whole thing. And then Philly, if they can. If they can just not crap the bed.
I just don't feel very good about either of those teams. Milwaukee, I think Dame is just going to be on a downward trajectory from now on. Basically, he was noticeably worse last season.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't really think he's going to bounce back. They didn't really add that backcourt defender that they needed.
No.
They got Gary Trent Jr., DeLon Wright, but I don't think that's really enough.
And they were so reliant on that drop coverage with Giannis and Brook.
Yeah.
But you can get away with that when you got the best pick dodger in the league trying to fight around screens, just to make them work that little bit harder as you get around.
Well, and when Brook's, kind of in his prime as well. I think he was definitely fine last season, but he's only getting older, he's only getting worse. I don't think Giannis... I kind of had that in my mind that Giannis might start regressing at some point, just because he's at some point soon, just because he's so uber athletic.
Yeah.
So much of his game is his insane athleticism. It's okay, well, how does this guy adjust his game when his body starts giving up on him? His body just doesn't look like it's giving up on him.
Well, he did get injured. He did get injured these playoffs.
He gets injured, but when he's healthy, he's he's the same guy.
Yeah.
There's no, unless he's coming back from an Achilles injury and not looking the same, he's always going to be good.
He's the almost the antithesis in that regard to a guy like Embiid, who just feels like he has these injuries build up all throughout the season and he gets to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And sure, he has a couple of big games, but then he's bound to have an awful game, and everyone goes, well, he's injured. It's he's injured every single year at this time.
Yeah.
When does it start to be this is not necessarily his fault. His body's just built that way, but like this is an issue with him as a player.
Yeah. Like, do you have to just shut him down for the first 50 games of the season or something?
But he's always gassed in the fourth quarter because he's never particularly fit enough.
Yeah, 100%. Especially and also for the number of touches he gets, for the the amount of contact. Like, player who searches for contact on every single offensive possession is probably going to get tired pretty quickly.
Flailing arms out, pushing yourself up off the floor.
But it's like like Zion can't, he can't really take more than 18 shots a game. Yeah, because like he just gets too tired. Because the amount of energy he's pretty much the best player in the league at getting to the rim and finishing at the rim. Yeah, but the amount of energy that he needs to do that. It just means you're absolutely gassed by the time you have to put up shot 20. And Embiid puts up way more shots, shoots way more free throws. So no wonder he's just absolutely gassed all the time.
Do you like the Paul George fit though?
Yeah, I love the Paul George fit. I love the fit. But and it's another guy who can't stay on the court. You have added you've added 50 games of good fit next to a guy who can only play 50 games himself, basically. I don't feel very confident about Philly either. I'd love to see how New York works out because I think they'll be the next challenger.
It wouldn't surprise me if they finish like second in the East, just based on health from the other teams. Yeah, because Philly would probably be if I was going to put money on someone. Yeah, but then everyone healthy. But I just don't think they will. Yeah,
no, that's never going to happen. Some other Olympians, Victor Wembanyama. I want to say he kind of had an underwhelming tournament, but also his team was really, really good. Just clearly the second best team in the men's pool. He was so good defensively in every game, even if he wasn't really getting, getting his shots. And then he was excellent in the final.
I love the confidence he had in the final. Yeah. First shot of the game, just I'm actually can shoot these deep threes. Yeah. And there was no... And you saw that throughout the season as he progressed. He was all of a sudden I can kind of do whatever I want out here. Yeah. And have the confidence from... And I think this also stems from him playing with France for such a long time prior to... being in the NBA, which is the one thing that the US team doesn't always have. He knows the system, everyone trusts him. Yeah, they see the work he's put in. It's not like he's just rocked up out of the blue.
He knows the rules as well.
Yeah. Actually, the thing that surprised me is how well LeBron just adjusts to being I can knock the ball off the ring. Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Yeah. Well, again, he's just way, way, way smarter than everyone else. How do you feel about the Spurs this season? Just briefly.
I don't know if they'll make the playoffs. I'd have to look at all the other teams first, but I think they'll be really good. They started to show some stuff last year, even beyond just Wembanyama and Chris Paul. Everyone was saying all last year, get Wembanyama a point guard that can throw a half decent lob.
They got him the best.
This guy's. I think Wemby's going to be the biggest lob threat in the year in the league next year. Yeah, pretty comfortably. Yeah, and as well as being probably, if the team can be half decent on defense when he's off, we'll probably win Defensive Player of the Year.
I think what excites me the most about them is just they could just really do anything. This season, they could be really good. They could push for the play-in. Or they could be cool. We've seen great development from Wemby. Denver Vassell's coming along. Blah 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 blah. Who's the point guard they took? And then they just go, all right, let's just shut it down now.
Yeah. It's not. They kind of got shafted by a bit of a crap draft this year.
Yeah.
That would it be the worst thing if they get half a season of Chris Paul?
Yeah.
Just to get Wemby reps doing things, and then all of a sudden, everything falls apart, and they get another draft pick.
Yeah, Stephon Castle, that's who it is. Yeah, like Stephon Castle probably isn't going to be the starting point guard of the future for the San Antonio Spurs, but they'll try him like that. He'll get he'll get tutored by Chris Paul, who's probably the best guy to learn from. Not if you want to wing a ring, but otherwise. And then do you go, oh cool, like actually Chris Paul's playing well enough that we can get 2 seconds for him at the deadline. Let's just trade him, and then when we get to sort of knee or whatever, and we try and get Cooper Flag, or we have a whole bunch of future picks as well. Like, can we then trade up to something better? Blah 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 blah. Or they could, or as I said, like they could just be really good, and that would be a good progression for them as well.
Any other Olympic performers and going into the NBA season?
Well, there's one I want to talk about who won't be in the NBA next season, but former Boston Celtics draftee Gershon Yabusele.
Yeah.
What did you make of his tournament? Did you see this coming from him?
Well, I knew he'd been playing really well in Europe.
Yeah.
And he's always popping up on like Boston Celtics subreddit. Like when he got into it with Dante Exum, and everyone's taking Gershon's side. I'm like, that's my guy, Dante. No, so I didn't completely surprise me. Like, the guy's really talented, and like he might get a look at some NBA teams in the future with how he played. Particularly in the finals, like he shows a lot of like defensive versatility. Even as like I'm pretty sure they played him as like a small ball 5 for a while, which is pretty insane considering Rudy Gobert is also on that team. They just thought they were better.
Yeah, well, we can talk about him.
But like the whole French team is just they knew there's like similar. They just knew their roles. They played together a lot, and like at a certain point, like doesn't matter if it's Evan Fournier spacing the floor or Devin Booker to some degree. Like I'm not sorry. Like Devin Booker's clearly the better player, but like when you're both asking them to do the same thing.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. I like that tag.
It's very bad, but like.
No, point completely taken there. Yes, so Rudy Gobert basically barely played after like the second group game, I think it was. Got subbed off. He said in his press conference that he had an injury. The French coach said, no, he didn't have an injury. It was tactical. Which is crazy.
Wild thing to like throw your player under the bus.
Yeah, especially presumably someone you've coached for like a decade maybe. Like I don't know who the French coach is or how long they've been coaching the French national team. I'm assuming. And you know, we absolutely love Rudy Gobert slander over here on the DG Podcast Network.
But it's crazy to think that in a format where you think having like these two ginormous bigs to like make the smaller court already smaller.
Yeah.
They don't have to run as far out to the 3-point line.
One of them can space the floor, so you're not clogging the paint on offense.
You'd think you'd just be like taking away every single layer.
Yeah.
But clearly they thought they were better.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, Rudy just didn't play very well either. Like, it was just like clearly whenever he sat and Wemby was on in those first two games, it was like, oh, okay, now the defensive scheme's working, now the offense is working.
Yeah.
I mean, the Minnesota Timberwolves didn't get better at all. And lost Kyle Anderson. Yeah. Drafted Rob Dillingham. Gave away some I think it was a 2030 first to draft him because it was like literally the only move they could make without going, because of they're strung by the second apron, because they're paying, two big men $90 million a year collectively.
Are they certain they're going to be good in 2030?
No, no, absolutely not. No, Cat's
going to be old then.
The jury's continuously out on him. He could get traded at any moment. Rudy will have retired by then. And then Anthony Edwards, like,
if they're bad, why does he stay?
Yeah, exactly. He loves playing in Mini at the moment. Like, he's never expressed that he wants to leave, but he's also like the sort of player who would leave. Like, if he's like, fuck this, I've been here for 8 years. Yeah. I am, I'm in the top 3 MVP every year. And I haven't won a championship. Like, why should I stay? Like, and the team gave away our entire future to draft this aging French guy who hasn't been able to get me any long-term success. Like, yeah, I think you would totally leave.
There was a lot of last year like talk about that trade being actually okay, but we still don't know. I don't think.
No, and this is the thing. It's like just when you're like, no, Rudy's good. We don't have to worry about him anymore. You know, and yeah, he was really good in the playoffs. Like,
yeah,
you know, so good in the Denver series. But then like this happens and you're like, shit. Like, what if he just plays like this next playoffs?
Yeah.
What if there is this same issue with having 2 7-foot players on the floor?
I think the thing that they'll find though is the spacing is better in the NBA, and
definitely.
like he's just not going to be as crowded. Like he just lives off lobs offensively.
Yeah, I mean and for Minnesota he just doesn't contribute offensively.
Yeah,
except that's how they beat Denver was the little Rudy Gobert. 15-foot bank shot.
You know, he's added that to his game.
No,
I saw he
didn't look like he had for France.
Yeah. Anything quickly from the Australian NBA players?
The men's, like, God, that just ended up being a wet fart of a...
Oh my God, it's every second half, just turnovers.
Of a run for the Boomers. And we went 1-3 over the tournament, and like, after that Spain game, I was like, after the Canada game, I was like, I feel really good about this team.
Yeah.
You know, whatever happens from here, I feel very good about what's happened, but like, can't say I feel that way anymore. Who do you think performed? Do you buy that Josh Giddey will be a positive force for the Chicago Bulls, or was that
the commentators would have you believe he's going to be a star next year? But like, I think we just saw like he's a bit too turnover prone.
Yeah.
His jumper looked good in the Olympics, but I don't think he'll have the same time or space at Chicago.
Yeah.
I think he's got a really long NBA career, and I think he's going to be like a really big FIBA performer for us going forward. But he's not keeping the Chicago Bulls afloat.
Yeah, I agree, and I think so. I think his game just translates really well to FIBA, and we know players also just get better when they put on the green and gold.
And he also like lives off that like wild 1-foot runner bank shot from 10 feet. I just don't think that's a reliable shot.
No, 100%. Especially who's going to be running it and getting the putback for the Chicago Bulls for him next season? Like, is Patrick Williams going to be an offensive rebound fiend? That shot actually made him like a really good partner for Landale, and even Magne. I thought like they're both guys who can just like get up and clean the glass.
Landale's awesome.
Yeah, he's
like he just gets better and better. Like he's gonna be in the NBA for a while. Just as like a guy that spaces the floor, is 6'10",
definitely,
and knows his role.
It was so shocking that he wasn't getting minutes for Houston at the beginning of last season because he was so good for Phoenix.
Yeah,
I mean, Lucas told this story on the pod the other night, but Chris Paul's story. Like Jock was when he first signed with Phoenix. He was doing shoot around in training or something, like 5'5" or whatever, and like went on, fucked up, got immediately pulled, and then after training, Chris Paul was like, "Oh, how much money are you making?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't know, 1.5 million." He's like, "We're gonna change that." And then you could actually see him become so good in Phoenix, just becomes a much more like attuned basketball player. I hope he's like, he should sort of have that backup big spot locked down for Houston. I mean, like Şengün is the guy, but also Houston were really good when he got injured last season, so that'll be an interesting dynamic as well. Like, do they close with Landale or?
Lando, you probably can't, but he's the type of guy that I feel like coaches will end up trusting. Yeah. Just to not make mistakes. Which we see with like most coaches, like even Steve Kerr in the Olympics. It's like doesn't want Jayson Tatum missing jump shots.
No. Yeah, 100%. Rest of the Aussie team, I thought Dyson Daniels played really well. Even in the Serbia game, like there was nothing going from an offense, but he was really good defensively.
He really played that like Matisse Thybulle role.
I think I'd almost say better. I mean,
Yeah.
I know people were really upset about Thibault not being selected, but like I thought Dyson was like, and I think he's just got more to his game. Like he can play point guard.
Yeah,
his 3-point shot probably isn't there yet, but it is better than Thibault.
I trusted him with the ball. I feel like we lacked ball handling.
Yeah.
And I often found me just wanting the ball to be an Exum or Dyson's hands.
Yeah.
So I actually thought Giddey was a bit sloppy with it.
Yeah, definitely. Oh no, well that amazing run we went on in the first quarter. Like Giddey was really good at the beginning of the first quarter, but then like the Patty Mills run.
Yeah.
Like, Giddey was on the bench.
Yeah.
For all of it. Like, and it was all just the ball moving quickly.
Yeah.
Like there was no, get it to the point guard, slow it down.
Yeah.
You know, go into an action. It was just like, fucking piff the ball as fast
Also,
as you
just
can.
find Patty.
Yeah. When he's in that mood.
And I know there was like the people were wondering why Delhi was in instead of Thibault, and I like. If the Thibault's better player than Delhi, and Delhi sucks.
Yeah.
But
again,
different players though.
Again, Delhi, like, you know, won us.
Yeah.
You know, Delhi's just like I think in the who did we lose to in game 3? Greece. Yeah, like Delhi was plus 10 or something in that loss, which is just insane.
Delhi.
So yeah, I mean that was a case of like Gorge's trust in the guy actually paying off. Versus Joe Ingles just sitting on the bench for the entire series. Jack McVeigh's who's he signed with? I keep forgetting. He signed with Houston as well.
A couple of Aussies. The Aussies love to play together.
Yeah. So I mean, he'll be on a 2-way. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, I think his shot is just completely there. Like
He has one of the prettiest jumpers.
and his that catch and shoot release where he doesn't even bring it below his nose is like NBA perfect.
Yeah.
But like I think he's the wrong combination of tall and lanky.
Yeah.
To have, like a long career in the NBA.
He also like can't jump. Have you seen? Like he can't move his feet. He can't jump. He also like really feels himself once he makes one shot.
Yeah.
And it was like, and I don't think in the NBA he's gonna have that green light. But he got cooked a few times on the other end.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it's just that thing where it's like, oh, you know, you can't keep up with smaller guards, but like anyone is gonna bully you as well. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I had been feeling pretty good about our run, and you know, I was willing to say some pretty nice things about this team, but then you kind of look at the result and you're like, that's shit. Like,
it's just constantly the Boomers living in the opal shadow.
Yeah.
There was like that one year where they won the bronze at FIBA.
Yeah.
And then you look at the opal, it's like bronze, silver, bronze.
Second, that bronze makes them the second most medaled women's basketball team ever.
Wow.
Basically, behind, you know, the USA, of course. Any closing thoughts, Sam? I think that's a pretty good run through things. Nikola Jokic, pretty good at basketball.
Again,
seemingly got more excited about winning bronze than he did when he won the NBA championship.
I think common though amongst non-US teams.
Yeah.
There's that extra pride. Jokic, awesome. Shame Denver have not done anything to get better.
Yeah. I think that's the huge takeaway.
Jamal Murray looks worse.
Yes, Jamal looked like a complete fraud for Canada.
Yeah.
Like, is that he's bad, or is that he can't play without Jokic?
Yeah.
Either way, not good.
There's also no reason on that team he shouldn't be getting like. He doesn't have the same excuse of Tatum as like you're not getting your diet of shots. Like Jamal Murray is one of the best players on that team.
You should be taking every shot when Shai's on the bench, basically.
Yeah.
And like a couple when he's not as well. So I think things looking pretty dire for Denver next season, which we've covered plenty. All right, I reckon that's a pretty good place to wrap up. I'm feeling pretty hungry.
I'm looking forward to this.
I got on the stove.
Yeah, really excited actually. I heard about
that. Any final thoughts, Sam?
Just watch this space. Tatum's gonna be less cringe next year.
We're on Tatum cringe watch. We'll call you up the first time he does something cringe after October 16th.
Yeah, he'll be like written like 24 on his shoe or something.
All right, thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Marco.
You want to talk WNBA? Maybe some WNBL? Australian Opals chat? Heck, even dabble in some EuroLeague? Find the W Basketball Show on the Deep 2 Podcast Network.
The NBA moves so quickly these days, it's hard to keep up. Shams and Woj are breaking stories left and right, but the Quick Time Out is right there with them to keep you informed on the latest NBA news. Stop in and let us break it down as it happens. Find the Quick Time Out on the Deep 2 Podcast Network.